Welcome to Mercy's Designs. My name is Mercy and I sell Stampin' Up! Products. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how I made this lip balm holder, and it's really quite simple. I got my idea from a demonstrator by the name of Cindy's Corner, and she made hers a little bit differently, and I'll bring in one that I followed hers exactly. And one of the things I didn't like is you don't have a good way to close this. So I decided that I would modify her tutorial, and I also wanted it a little taller here. Okay, so as you can see, this one, you have this little lip, so it kind of closes that way. So the first thing I'm going to do is bring in my stamping trimmer, and I still have the old one, but you can certainly use the new one for all this. So I use the scoring part for this, and you need a piece of paper. I should just bring in my template a little bit. And the template is, the base you need is 5 inches by 8 1/8, I'm sorry. And the first score we're gonna do is right here. So I have scored this already just so I don't get mixed up and I don't tell you wrong. So you just score at 3/4 inch here. Then I'm going to turn this around, and then I'm going to score. I'm going to line this up at 3.5 and score along the whole thing. Then I'm going to move this down to 4 1/4, and I'm going to score only to 2 3/4, so right about there. Now if you go a little too far, it's not a big deal. Then the next measurement is this part where it's got the 2 corners here, the 2 things. I'm going to turn here, and at the 1/2 inch line, 1/2 inch mark, I'm going to go ahead and score that, and then I'm going to score at 1 1/4. So these little segments are, except for this one, which is a 1/2 inch, these are 3/4. So then I'm going to turn this around, and the only reason why I'm doing it this way and not starting here at a 1/2 inch is you don't have a lot of stability here. So it's a little better that way. So then at 2 inches, you come and you score again, and then 2 3/4. And then over here, you're going to go at 5.5 right there and score all the way up to this score line right there. So what you have is this. And then the next thing we're going to do is start cutting. And I like to go ahead and use the trimmer here to cut. So I'm just going to line this up at 3.5, and I'm going to cut to the second score line here. So I'll just run it up here, and my blade is getting a little bad here. Time to replace this trimmer with the brand new one. I really am looking forward to doing that. I just haven't ordered yet. So with this one, I'm just going to bring it down to here, to these multiple score lines. So that's about 5 3/8, I would say. So here we have it. Now we're done with the stamping trimmer, and now we're going to cut a little bit. So I'm going to bring in my template here, just so I make sure that I cut away what I'm supposed to and not what I'm not. So the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and cut this off. And that is pretty much scrap. Now, when I'm just going to trim this up a little because I don't like how it got a little messed up. So when I first did this, I just went ahead and scored all the way. And the reason why I didn't do that this time is this is a pretty decent piece that I could use as a scrap to maybe cut out a label or something like that. So I am just going to keep it. All right, so I am not too happy with how that got a little messed up, but we'll survive. So what you want is to get rid of this part here, and I am angling a little bit here. You do want to wedge cut that last piece there. And right here. So that's scrap that I won't hang on to. And you're going to get rid of also this little piece right here. So hopefully this will make sense and you can follow along. Then the next part is we're going to cut these apart right here. And if I want, I can quickly actually burnish that just so it'll make it easier later on. So these, the only ones that I want to wedge cut would be the center one here. And I also want to take off just a hair. So that's the waist there. So it should look like that. And the next part is we're going to cut a window. So this is the classic label punch. And this part is very simple. You just slide it up, and when it stops inside the paper, that is pretty much the right spot. However, you do want to back off just a hair. And I'm looking up here to try to center it. And this is a little harder on film because I'm trying not to get my head in it. So what you'll have is something like this. So you can see I didn't quite get it real perfect lined up. It's a little angled, but you'll do better when you are not on camera. So the next part is we're going to burnish it. You do want to be careful when you have this part right here. And what I find is if you keep that flat against your surface, it will be more protected. So I'm just going to not be concerned which direction per se I need this eventually to be, but just to get that burnishing started. So here we go. And I'm just going to just burnish all these real quick. And the box will be folding upward. So pretty much valley folds here. And then this one goes down. Okay, so it is important which direction because I want the closure to be on the right side. Most people are right-handed, so that's why I decided on that. So if you don't care right, left, then, you know, obviously go for it. Okay, so I had to pause real quick because I realized, oh, actually, I do find my glue. It just slid down. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so the next part you want to do is you want to go ahead, take your glue or any type, your choice of adhesive, and you're just going to simply lay this down, adhere this here, and then we're going to bring in our DSP. So this is 2 inches by, I want to say, oh, I'll have it in the description. I think I forgot to bring that part over, but I think it's 1 5/8, or is it, anyway, it's right here. This measurement, this is 2 inches for sure. And the reason why I did it that way is when you're cutting your DSP, if you had 2 inches, it's actually pretty much less waste. So if that makes sense. Okay, so here we go. I'm just going to add this here, and you can see it's now, you have a gap here, but don't worry, that will be covered. So the next part is now we're going to be adhering this. So what you want is, here I'm just going to reburnish this a little bit. And try to make sure that doesn't, so you want it, you want to go ahead and glue it just like this. So I'll just quickly go ahead and do that. And then we'll be ready for the next step. So it takes a second, and you can like reinforce that. You don't want that buckling, so you do want to be gentle when you do that. And that should do the trick. So the next part I'm going to do is just go ahead and put this in. And the reason why I'm doing this is it'll add extra support to make sure we get our box really nice and square. So the next part, and I see this, okay, yeah, this will work. Okay, so I could take off a hair here if I wanted, because I think I will, because it just seems a little tight. Okay, so we're just going to take a hair off there. I'm going to go ahead and add my glue. And we're going to try to keep this as square as possible. And then I'm going to just go ahead and add this piece right here that I did wedge cut. And then this one is not cut at all, and it's a nice square. See, I got a little bit of glue, but I'll use my handy dandy glue. I have a, it's like an eraser, which I'll use later. But I do have a little oozing here, so I keep a few scraps around for this very purpose. If I get too much glue, okay? All right, so far so good. Ooh, it's still oozing. I definitely overdid it with the glue. Okay, so now we have this, and this is, you could stop right here, but you know, what's the fun of that? This video, I'm not going to focus on coloring or anything, but I will show you the products I used. First of all, with the dies, I used multiple ones, the layering circles, the stitch shapes, the nested stitch shapes, the rectangles. So I used quite a few, but the DSP is from the snowman season. I'm not sure the exact name of that, but you can look, I'll have that listed in the description. So the stamp sets were Birds of a Feather, which is our focal image here, and I've already colored this. I used Real Red, I used Pumpkin Pie, Daffodil Delight, and Light Smoky Slate. And I was thinking later it would have been cute to use like Pool Party here and capture this color, but for this one, this is what I chose, and I do like it. So the first thing I would suggest is go ahead and enjoy the season. And as you can see, this will be covered. So I want to make sure that I do not glue all the way here. So I'm just going to put my finger there just to make sure that I don't over glue, because obviously we don't want that glue seeping out. So I'm going to have this more or less lower. Yeah, that's pretty good, because we want to leave room for our ribbon up here. Hopefully it's not crooked. It's a little crooked. Okay, we'll get it a little straighter. Okay, so then here is our beautiful little bird. I think he's so cute. And the other thing I wanted to talk about is I did use glitter glue, this Dazzling Diamonds, and I used this two-way glue first and then sprinkled the Dazzling Diamonds. This is a retired product, this two-way glue, but you can find it in craft stores still available. And I really like it with the Dazzling Diamonds. It just makes it a very easy thing. So the other thing I wanted to talk about is this Red Glimmer Paper, I die cut it out twice. So I used I think it was like the third one or something. This stitch, the circle, the scallop circle, and this one, the smallest one. And I do not like to waste paper like this. I mean, you only see this much. And so what I did is on the back, I glued just a scrap of white cardstock behind here, just so it wouldn't be like caving in look or anything like that. And I was careful not to get too close to the edges with my dimensionals, because we're going to be having this overlap, sticking out a little bit. So there he is, or she, I don't know what the bird is. Next, I'm going to add a glue dot here, and I'm using a large glue dot because there's a lot of area when you're using this curly ribbon. So what I'm just going to do is just set this down about, I think about here, and then I'm going to bring in my ribbon. So the ribbon I used is this curly ribbon. It's a 1/8 inch ribbon, and it's really a beautiful Christmassy look. It's kind of like a yarn. It is a yarn, some type of yarn, but it's really cool, and I actually am really happy I got it. I got it actually pretty recently. So here is my bow that I made out of it. I'm not going to attempt that on camera, and I'm just going to stick it up here. So it looks like this. So the next thing is we're going to decorate a little bit on the back. Now, again, this is optional, but I am making these for a gift to the people that I'm sitting with at Onstage, or Onstage Local rather, in Lansing. So I want to make sure that they know who it came from, not that I desperately need credit. So remember that little circle we cut out? Well, guess where it went? It went right here. And then I used, with the Coastal Cabana, I punched out the 1 3/8 punch to make this part. So all I'm going to do now is I have a glue dot here. And the reason why one of the reasons glue dots, first of all, work the best on glimmer paper, but it is somewhat repositionable. So if someone wanted to re-gift this, they could just rip this part off and put a 2 and put the person's name. But again, I'm doing this for the Lansing on stage, or local on stage, as one of my gifts. So here we go. And then I cut out a snowman. He's so cute. And we're just going to put him right there, because it kind of looked a little dorky with nothing else, I thought. So I thought, why not? I have this paper and it's just so cute, and I really didn't have to do much effort other than fussy cutting. Okay, so, oh, I just realized that I forgot the one greeting, but we'll get to that in a sec. Here is a little tree. So I thought, this one, the first one I fussy cut out, and then I thought this would work with just the 1-inch punch. So I'm just going to put that like there, and I think that looks really cute. So the only thing I forgot to do was this wishing you a Christmas filled with love and happiness, and this came from the Cup of Christmas stamp set, and I've already, of course, stamped it. So we're just going to go ahead and adhere it at the top here. You really wouldn't have to do this part, but I thought, you know what, it looks cute, and it worked with this stitch shape to do this. So I'm just trying to make sure I get it nice and centered. All right, so here I'm just going to open this up, and now we can do the final step, which is to put in our Burt's Bees, or any type of lip balm you can put in, and there is our nice little gift. So I'll bring it back in the original one I did, and they're pretty much the same. I hope you could follow along. If you didn't, please look at the description below where I have measurements, and make yourself a template. I'll show that again. So here's my template. So the first scoring I did was here, then I flipped it around and scored this whole one, and then this one I only did partial, and then I started these across and then used my punch. So pretty straightforward overall. I was actually surprised how quickly I was able to do it and get the hang of it. Some 3D projects can be a little intimidating, but this wasn't too bad. And then of course the one that Cindy's Corner did was this one, where I was a little stymied about the closure issue. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing. If you have any stamping needs, please email me at mewants3@gmail.com, and I'd be happy to help you place an order with the host code. Thank you so much for watching, and happy stamping.